Good good evening, everyone, and welcome to Poetry Slam, TDN Media Network Poetry Slam. The world celebrated Poetry Day on March 21st, 2023. That was this week. And so today, TDN Radio is giving you the opportunity to listen to some folks who have practiced their skill with their words. Poets, that's what we say they are. And we are marking World Poetry Day by having a poetry slam. Now, in the true technical sense of a poetry slam, it usually takes the form of a competition. Tonight is not a competition, but we encourage you on the audience to give your kudos to the poets and to give your reaction and to give your approval. So I want you to share the live and ask folks to join us. We are on TDN TV. Sam, if you will put up the link that so for all the social medias where we are live, so folks can share that. So you can choose to go on Facebook, you can go on YouTube, you can go on TDN TV, you can listen on TDN Radio. We will give you the link and you can share that. However you are viewing us right now, just share it, reach out to somebody and tell them that Poetry Slam has begun. Well, poems involve words. In the beginning was the Word. Does that mean that the Word is the most powerful thing in this world, in this universe? The Word, especially the spoken word. We get thoughts. It is said that we have on average, every day we think 70,000 thoughts. And they come and they go, and sometimes we pay attention to them, sometimes we're not even aware that we're having the thoughts. But we are supposed to be aware of every word that comes from our mouth. Words have power. Different things have power, but words are power. And so we have to be so careful with how we craft our words because our words is what we create our lives. And so tonight we have 14 poets to share their talent and their work with us. And the way we're going to organize it is each poet is going to get to share two pieces of work with us. We're going to do it in two rounds. In the first round, we will have their first piece, and then we take a quick intermission, and then we will have the second round, same scenario, almost like how you do the calypso competition. You know, singers come, they sing one song, and then they sing another song in the same order. And so that is what we are about tonight. Poetry Slam, TDN Media Network Poetry Slam. And we want to thank all of you who supported us in putting this wonderful show together. One of the big things that we are on TDN is supportive of the arts. We are really, really excited and passionate about the arts. And so the literary arts, the written word, our books and our poets, we appreciate them very much. And so tonight is a very, very special treat because there are some folks who are specialized. All of us have thoughts, all of us can write, but some folks have practice where a poet and myself might walk down a street. I mean, anybody can be inspired by a forest or a meadow or something beautiful, but a poet and myself can walk down a very ordinary, boring street. And we come out at the end, and the poet says, did you see that back there? And he sits down and he writes his experience, his feelings, or whatever, and produces that work that then he shares with us. And the next time we walk down that street, I will remember, oh, when I walked with this poet, this is what he saw. And it enhances my experience the next time I walk down that street. And so that is the purpose and that is the function of our artists. And tonight we are celebrating our poets. So we are going to go right into it because, as I told you, we have 14 poets on tap. And of those 14 poets, each of them are going to do two. Each of them are going to do two. They're going to do two pieces for us. The first round and the second. So the first person that we're going to have on is Miss Germania Collier Didier. She's somewhere backstage. So, folks, what we have is all our poets are backstage, and when it's your turn to come, we bring you on stage, so you have the complete stage to yourself. Not even me will be on stage. It's the poet's time. He or she is going to entertain you. He or she is going to share his talent and his work with you, and we don't want anything to interfere with that. So that poet is going to have that screen all by himself, and we're just going to match through like that. I will introduce each one of the poets as their turn comes up. And so let me introduce you to our first presenter, our first poet. Drum roll. Miss Germania Collier Didier. Welcome.
Good evening, everyone.
Welcome.
It's a joy. It's a joy taking part in this poetry slam. And tonight, my first poem is entitled, There is Evidence. It's a poem based on the resurrection. There is evidence. They came to anoint his body, fragrant spices in their hands, wondering who would move the stone to help them activate their plan. It was the first day of the week, quite early in the morning. Would the soldiers still be there? Would they still be guarding? Arriving at the tomb site, their eyes could not believe. A gaping hole looked back at them. No stone, no guard. What a relief! Not taking time to ponder what this could all mean, Mary Magdalene, Mary, and Salome decided to venture in. Then lo, right before them, two young men dressed in white, sitting on the right side. The three froze in their fright. Don't be alarmed, the angels said. We know how much you care, but your Lord is risen. He is no longer here. The place where they had laid him, there was no corpse around. Having conquered the grave, Jesus was nowhere to be found. First piece of evidence. Trembling and shaken, the other women ran. Mary Magdalene, propelled by love, decided to stay around. Her decision was worth it. In the garden, teary-eyed, she met him first. Her Jesus, her friend, her Rabboni. To fearful, fallen disciples, joyfully she carried the news. John and Peter hurried off. Indeed, they were confused. Once at the tomb site, truth stared them in the face. The stone indeed was rolled away. Of their Lord, there was no trace. To two men walking to Emmaus, Jesus again appeared. Their hearts burned within them as the word he shared. A second piece of evidence. Getting ready for a meal. Suddenly, a new twist. The solemn disciples were affrighted as Jesus appeared in their midst. Another piece of evidence. Jesus made another visit, doubting Thomas, this time to meet. Seeing the wounded hands of Jesus, Thomas fell to his feet. What a disappointment for Jesus. Imagine his close friend refusing to believe he was alive despite the evidence. Yes, Jesus rose in triumph. There is now no doubt. The tomb remains empty. The evidence is out. Thank you very much.
Now, thank you, sister. Thank you, sister Germania Collier the Day. Thank you so much for that. Folks, her first poem was Evidence, and most of us are familiar with that story, and that is such a one of the main functions of poem and poets is storytelling, not only to record stories but to pass them on into posterity. And so we thank Germania for that wonderful piece, retelling a story that we've been told through catechism, those of us who grew up as Catholics and right through our lives, and but still managing to tell it to us in a way that we feel so interested and to follow on through. So thank you for that. We look forward to Germania in the second round when she comes back to do her second piece. We're moving quite along. The next person.
Good evening.
Good.
It's an honor to take part in this Poetry Slam. It's my first time being part of a organization like this. I am honored. My poem, Same Difference.
Kisha, let me just tell the audience who you are. So because we switch orders a little bit. So up presenting right now is Kisha Charles. Kisha, it's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
Yes, and go ahead and share your poem entitled Same Difference.
Same difference. Because of the color of my skin, you treat me like an old, rotten pumpkin. You look at me as star, yet I rise like a star. You want me small, yet every day I stand up tall. You look at me and you turn up your face because I belong to a different race. You want to cause me pain. The fact remains we can't all be the same or bear the same name. Why can't we just unite? Let's fight for what is right. We all belong to the Creator, so don't be a hater. He made us all in His own likeness and image. Let's just start on a new page. We breathe the same air. Why do we always have to compare? We inhabit the same planet. We should act as a magnet to a nail. That way, we live to tell the tale. Let's pull each other together. We can learn to love each other. How would this world be if everything that you could see was all in the same color? It would not be such a beautiful place. In many ways, we are akin, even though the melanin is lacking. Regardless of how we look on the outside, blood runs through us all inside. This world could be a better place if there was unity among the entire human race. We should love and not hate. Choose not to discriminate, or hate will only breed more hate. Thank you.
Thank you, Kisha Charles. Her poem was entitled Same Difference. And it's a very fitting piece because tomorrow is the International Day of Remembrance of Slavery and the victims of slavery and the transatlantic slave trade. And this poem that you have that talks about discrimination based on our skin color is a result or direct result from slavery and the slave trade. So thank you so much for that. It participates in the remembrance of our forefathers who suffered that atrocity, and some of them didn't even make it. They died in that transatlantic slave trade. So thank you for that.
Okay.
Look, the next person that we're going to have up is Miss Nicole Georges. Her piece is entitled Calvary, and I think she's not able to be there in person, but she sent a pre-recorded piece. So Sam, let's roll Nicole Georges.
I do not understand. I reach for his mangled feet, but they have hoisted him so far out of my reach I touch only the wood and barely feel the splinters enter my flesh. I do not understand. Where is the promised glory? They have torn him to pieces, my precious man, God. The sword pierces my heart. I cannot breathe. The pain is more than I can bear. Blinded by the sunlight, somehow I see his eyes, one sealed shut from swelling and dried blood. His face, once so much like mine, is a swollen, oozing mess. The boy, holding my elbow, grips me as my knees give way. Angels have foretold of his kingdom to come. I was promised salvation and glory. And yes, this sword. Why doesn't he summon his angels to his rescue? There have always been angels, announcing, warning, ministering. Where are they now? He looks at me through that one eye, and I see, suddenly, I see that it is all as it should be. Woman, this is your son. His love for me transcends this agony. How can he think of me now? He gives my care to a loved one, turns his gaze to his father, and then I know my work as mother is done. My son, my Lord, and my God.
All right, thank you so much for that, Nicole Georges. Bennett on Calvary. And, you know, we really appreciate, even though she could not make it, she sent her piece. And I guess for those of you who are Catholics, is the season of Lent. And so we have had two pieces of work so far that dealt with the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. And so it's a special treat for folks. Remember, we are looking at TDN Media Network Poetry Slam 2023. We are recognizing World Poetry Day, which was on the 21st of March. And we've managed to bring together 14 poets. Each of them are going to give us two pieces of their work. And we are super, super excited about that. The next person that we're going to have on is Huguette Saint-Hilaire. And the title of the piece is The Music Within. The Music Within. And so, Huguette, it's your turn on stage. Let's listen to the bass man that's playing in your head. I don't know. I was just a song, but welcome. It's a pleasure to have you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I am Huguette Saint-Hilaire, and this is my first time taking part in any poetry slam or, well, read out to the world. And
Yes, we're
I'm
happy that you're
very
sharing your
grateful.
talent with us. Yeah.
I'm very grateful for that. Now, everybody knows that I am passionate about music. So, when we hear music, we think of the joy that it brings us. It brings to the ear. But have we ever thought of the music within us? What it does to the body and the whole being. And so I begin. The music within. Whenever you feel sad, music will make you glad. When you feel like crying, music will hold back the tears. When you dare to do the impossible, music of fear pounds within your heart. When you are joyful, your soul makes a joyful noise. The baby gets to sleep with a sweet lullaby. For within you there is music. Music opens up a new day with the chirping of the birds, the crowing of the rooster, the barking of the dogs, the blowing of the wind, the pitter patter of the raindrops, the crying of the baby, the drip drip of pipe water, the washing of the dishes, the scrubbing of the pots, the cranking of the motorcycle, the tooting of the bus, the river rushes by, the sea splashes the shore. For within everything on earth there is music. Music makes us celebrate. Our birthdays in song we calibrate. At weddings, we walk down the aisle, two people in sync musically stride. As the celebrant triumphants over death, the congregation shows its musical wealth. Our carnivals and Christmas days return each year with their musical blaze. The crowd at the sports arena sing praises to the winner. The wind often go through the trees to usher in the morning breeze. The sound of a storm in rage signals a hurricane at the next stage. Music is sound, and sound combined makes music which propels the mind. The joy of music is the music within. Even the blind and the deaf can feel it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You get sent to there for music. Next time I'm in traffic in New York City, and people are playing their horns, I'm going to listen for the music. I'm going to
I
listen
think
for
you
the
should.
music.
I think you should. Yes.
Thank you for that so much. You see that's what these
Welcome.
artists do to us. They make us look at things from a different perspective, from a creative and a pleasant perspective. So thank you for that. Sister Yugat. I live in New York City, and the horns are definitely part of the tapestry of the, if you want to call it, ambient background in New York City. But beautiful music within, from the birds chirping in the early morning to the carnival blaring in the streets. A really, really beautiful piece. Thank you so much for that. Next up is a veteran, no stranger to TDN Radio. He comes every time we summon him, and tonight is no different. Brother Giftus John is with us tonight. He's been with us, he's shared his books, he's shared his work with us, and it's always a pleasure to see him create his art and then turn around and share with us so generously. So warm welcome to you, Brother Giftus. He's going to do his first piece, which is entitled A Tree Has Fallen. Let's a warm welcome to Giftus. Welcome, my brother.
Yeah, I think you have it in reverse.
Oh, you want to do
Doing
the
the
other one
colors
first?
Yeah.
The
Um,
colors in her life.
Thank
We
you
do that one
for
first.
having me on, and let me say hello to all the fellow artists on tonight, especially to my former co-worker and buddy and partner, Jules Pascal. Long time, brother. All right. The one I'm reading now is called The Colors of Her Life. With various tones of ink, she paints her life as she puts the pieces together, punctuated with sloppy dabs and loose, carefree strokes onto the stretched canvas lying on the shaky easel before her. Against a backdrop of pain, neglect, and hurt, she tells her story of abuse and fear. A story once fresh and vibrant, now chapped and peeling, of the damaged canvas she now desperately tries to repair. Once a beautiful picture, now cracked and dull, as she continually attempts to forget her plights and fate. A single mom, deceived, sad, lonely, and hurt. She struggles to add brighter colors to revive this now faded portrait. Not too long ago, she painted a beautiful picture with warm, soothing hues, drawn with such delicate touch. Each image patiently sketched, clearly outlined and highlighted as she detailed her story. One she now sadly has to retouch. It is ready now, and the colors on the canvas streak down slowly in crooked, messy lines before her. As the raindrops wash away the sad images forever, leaving her a blank canvas and the chance for a makeover. Done.
Thank you. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Brother Giftas, we appreciate that. You know, you, that's how we paint our lives, right? All our actions are our brushstrokes in which we paint our lives.
Yeah, and as you know, I kind of tie that into what I do as a painter.
Right.
So it was basically turning the image into a painting right before me and put into words. Hopefully,
Awesome.
I did it justice.
You did, and that is what everybody here is doing. They're capturing, you know, their feelings. They're capturing the observations. They're capturing the message that they want to convey, and are able to put it into words and deliver it to us. And we are super, super, and forever grateful for the artists among us, the painters, the poets, the authors, the dancers, all the different arts, visual and performing and creative arts. Because they record our lives,
Yep.
you know, and that is what and they bring pleasure to our lives by showing us who we are on stage and otherwise. So thank you for
Anytime.
that. All right, we'll see you in the next round because you
Okay,
have another one for us. Next up is Miss Margaret James. Miss Margaret James, her poem is entitled "Me Little Dominica." I am not from the north of Dominica where they speak a language called Kokoi. You know, those of you who are not from Dominica, you know, we have four main languages in Dominica. We have the colonial language called English. We have our own indigenous language that was is crafted between the colonials, English and the French and some African that we call Creole or Patois, our Creole Patois. And we have the Kalinago people who have their own language, and I was very happy to understand that they're making good efforts to really revive, to save and revitalize their language. So that is there. Also, we have in the north of Dominica, Marigot, Wesley, and Woodfordale, some folks who migrated to Dominica a little bit later than the rest of us, and a lot of them don't speak the Creole, but they speak what they call Kokoi. And so we have tonight Miss Margaret James going to do a poem for us called "Me Little Dominica." Margaret, welcome to the stage. Your mic is muted. Yeah, your mic is muted. Unmute your mic. There
Thank
you
you
go.
very much. Sorry.
It's a pleasure
It's
to
a
have you.
privilege for me to be here on this forum tonight. I want to thank Ella Thomas for making it possible for me to be on. And I thank the people who put this together. And I thank my colleagues that are listening, if I may say colleagues.
I want to say you look so much like my friend Hallie, your daughter.
It's my daughter. She's
A
my
very,
daughter.
very strong resemblance.
She looks
Welcome.
like me. I don't look like her.
Oh boy. Welcome all the same. Let's see.
Thank you, thank
Milica
you.
Dominica.
My
Okay.
poem is entitled Milical Damanika. It's in Kokoy, as you said, and I'm going to take my time so everybody will understand it. A first Milob, Milical Damanika. He had 300 and more river. He have fresh vickle, funyam, and clean water. He have cold and hot spring mixed with sulfur. He have mountain, hill, and valley all over. He have plenty coconut water. A first me love me little Dominica. He have fresh breeze, rain, and sun all over. He had 3 different roots and breed a culture. He had black nigger, mulatto, and carifuna. He had liar, priest, parson, and doctor. He had plenty generation a wise nigger. A first me love milk Dominica. He had enough bush for drink, for disease and corona. He had enough kojo root, mabi, twef, and ginger. He had forests with bush for heal man, woman, and pikinega. He had turtle, kai, sprat, vio, and chacha. He had a haven for huwe ban and bread ya. A first me love milk Dominica. Me neighbor drink berry under the ground ya. Bakra and Cheney, a long for take over. They grudge that little paradise ya. Let how we embrace, where are we here? Let how we thank Papa God for Dominica. Sparrows say, you never ever miss the water till the well dry up and you cranana. Thank you.
Awesome. And the only thing I want to ask you is that you say you have liar and you have priests. That means priests don't lie. Hmm?
Lawyer, liar.
Also, liar is a
Liar
lawyer.
is not a liar, it's a lawyer. Liar.
Some people say the same thing. Huh?
Uh-huh.
Some people,
True.
some people say that it's the same thing, but I don't think
Yeah,
so. I have some people who are very special to me who are lawyers, so I
yeah.
don't
I
subscribe to
didn't
that.
mean that a lie. I didn't mean that
I
at
know,
all.
you said liar. That is the pronunciation
Liar.
in the Kokoi language. Liar.
Mhm.
Okay, all right,
Okay,
beautiful. Thank you so
thank
much.
you.
I look forward to your second piece.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, Sister James, Margaret James, mother of one of my good friends, Halima. Okay, we're going to go to Gami. Gami Moses is also not a stranger to TDN. He's been on a couple of times representing organizations, but tonight he's here representing himself and his talent and his skill. He is going to do a piece for us entitled My Environment. And those of you who were at the Madras and Jeans event last year, you remember Gami? He was the MC of that show and he performed at that event as well. So let's welcome Gami Moses, to this poetry slam. Welcome, my brother, and thank you for being here.
Yes, give thanks for the invite. It's great to be here. Thanks to TDN for the opportunity
Awesome.
and for highlighting. They call us River Nikan because we go to the river whenever we can. So don't bother calling me Dominican, not from Dominican Republic. English and French Creole we speak. Sometimes we call it patois. Gaso, anou ale a live la. Live ki sa. N'importe anyone. We have 365 to choose from. Water in the air, water in the atmosphere, water far and near, water in the country, water in the tongue, is water all around. So let me see your molecule, hydrogen and oxygen, covalent bond makes you strong. Because we got point source pollution and non-point source pollution, because what we need is clean water for the sons and daughters. Chemicals leaking into a lake, tell the factory that that's not great. So don't put trash on the ground, because it might end up in Long Island song. Clean water is what we need. Let the fishes live and breathe. Biomagnification, chemicals and their concentration go up the food chain and stop. Plankton soaks up the chemicals, small fishes have them for dishes, then comes a long big fish, splish, osprey is overhead, and next thing you know, big fish is dead. It gets bigger, the problem gets bigger. Pack it in and pack it out. That's what it is all about. Picking up other people's litter will help keep the forest cleaner. Biodegradable or not, packing out helps the wildlife a lot. Human waste leads to water pollution. Digging cat holes is the solution. 6 to 8 inches deep, a trowel in your bag you should keep. 200 feet is the magic number, away from street camp and the water. Please pack out your toilet paper, covering the hole you must remember. Anytime you want to play number one, go on the rocks and on the bare ground. Give thanks.
Thank you. Words. This was Gami Moses, if his environment. And Wednesday was World Water Day, and he started his poem talking about rivers and water, and then talking about what we have to do to preserve it. I know Gami is an avid hiker, and so that came through in his presentation, because he spoke about taking your trash with you, and understanding how you relieve yourself when you relieve yourself when you go into the environment, so that you don't cause harm, and that it can stay preserved, so the next generations can continue to enjoy it, because what we have now doesn't belong to us. We are only supposed to guard it and enjoy it, and keep it in a format where those who come next can still enjoy that. Okay, so there we go. Up next is Aisha Muskan. Aisha Muskan. And I want to tell you about Aisha. Aisha is joining us from India, all the way from India. Aisha is joining us, and she says it's 4 a.m. in India right now. And so, Aisha, welcome. We are so happy and honored that you decided to join us, and we look forward to you sharing your work with us. Thank you so much.
Hello all. So it's definitely a great privilege to join you all, and this is the first time that I'm doing this spoken mic with other poets from other countries. So I would be reciting two poems from the recent book, my poetry book, which I published. And before reciting this poem, I just want to give you a hint. As you know, like I come from India. So in India, when it comes to motherhood, especially, there is kind of a lot of pressure that how to have a child and everyone. And for the one who does not have a child, people kind of look down upon them, or even who adopt. So in regards to that, I just wrote this poem, like even recently when certain celebrities from India went for surrogacies, there was a bit of chaos here through that. So I just wrote this small poem. It's a very small piece. I hope you like it. Okay, so this is it. A mother's love is as deep as the ocean, As powerful as the phoenix, like the sun, she burns herself to protect the child. And with her enchanting voice, she hums a percussive, more soothing than the moonlight. She constantly keeps protecting, loving, and nurturing. Her sacrifices help the child to bloom into the most magnificent being. Well, does it really matter if the mother is connected by blood, stepmom, surrogate, or has adopted you? So this was a poem where I'm questioning the people, like, does it really matter? Because I've seen many mothers who are connected by blood but still fail to be a good mom. So, and I have seen many moms who are stepmom and have adopted the child, but are definitely more successful than moms who are connected by blood to the child. So this was my piece. So which I wrote, and I never had an idea that you could recite so much.
Yes,
So,
certainly,
yeah,
certainly,
thank you.
Aisha. Thank you so much for that. And all of us, most of us have relationship with our mothers at different, times in our lives, the shape of our relationship. But I agree with you that women should not be judged as in terms of whether they have a child or not. You should be judged on your own life and your work that you do and how you contribute to your society and all of that. So we hope that changes, and your poem addressing that situation is part of the push to make it change. So thank you. We'll see you in the next round, Aisha. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, up next is somebody. I see Gifters gave a shout out to Mr. Jules Pascal. I usually tell people that I'm a youth division baby as a young teenager coming up. I used to attend a lot of functions organized by the youth division with David and Pass and Jules Pascal and Patsy and all of those people. And so, you guys did so much in shaping me into the person that I am. The youth division, I used to be there so much, and on the youth center on Bath Road. So thank you for that. It's a pleasure to see you. I haven't seen you or interacted with you in a long time. And,
That's
and, and
right.
it is really great to interact with you and for you to be part of our poetry slam tonight, Jules.
Yeah.
The piece you're going to present to us first, you call it The Art?
The
Yeah, the art.
politics, the
Okay,
art.
the art. Okay, the art. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let me say thanks, and it's a pleasure and a privilege, and I welcome the opportunity to be here tonight. Gift us, good to hear you and to be part of a program which you have been involved in. Thanks very much to everyone, the members of the TWII writers. I say good night to you, my friends, my family, everybody who's tuned in
Sure.
tonight.
Mm-hmm.
This poem is Politics, the Art. Politics and politicking is an art of bringing out the best and most times the worst in those who occupy many a public leadership post. Today, the get-rich model is distastefully the creed compared to decades past. Today's situation is pure greed. Times past, it was service and the love of country approach. But now it's degradation, war, and reproach. A life of continuous hate, dishonest competition to succeed, promoted and portrayed by those who present themselves our nations to lead. Subtly, unashamedly, they condone and connive, eagerly searching to skin any opposition alive, purposefully disguising what is true to make everyone believe them, but definitely not you. Politics is really an art. The art of using intimidation and fear while ensuring the world believes that they care. The art of providing a glimmer of hope and in the same breath, tightening the rope that binds the oppressed and the poor. while they draw big bucks and kick patriotism out of the door. It is the art of keeping back the electorate by policy application of divide and rule. And at any rate, while engaging the artistical skills, mortgaging our money, expensively and extensively undermining our economy, meanwhile, the masses are cajoled into mendicancy. All this is done under brilliant articulation of unwritten policy, with strategic people dislocation and planned structural development. But really, it is the art of staying in government. Politics is the art of painting a picture of working class elevation, unemployment reduction, and poverty alleviation. But the real canvas displayed depicts colors of party loyalty and appreciation. Speaking of art, the salaries they draw could never account for the things they procure. That's the art of concealment of the truth. That's the real political assignment full of discontentment. Politics and politicking is really an art. The art of leaders shifting the goalpost. The art of feeding the electors with crumbs after they have eaten the toast. The art of infringing, denying, and trampling on people's basic human rights, while perfecting the art of keeping your vote and mine locked in their sight. Oh, how the nations groan and yearn for political genuineness, that our youth can emulate and develop consciousness, that they may develop the real art and paint a true picture which depicts a realistic approach in preparing for the future. The real art of being honest, practicing integrity and truth, something that our modern day politicians ought to invest in our youth. Thank you.
Oh, awesome, 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 awesome. Thank you for that, Jules.
Welcome.
You know, so many things you touch on in politics, and you know, we hope that just like Calypso, our poets are writing about the circumstances, and maybe people will listen and the message gets past some of those barriers because it comes in a song, or it comes in a poem, or it comes in a painting, or in a photograph. So I mean, what you say, I identify with that so much. I got two messages today. One showed a very beautiful virtual rendering of the road to Castle Bruce that showed this beautiful highway that it meanders through the rainforest and that sort of thing, done from a drone. And immediately after that, I got a video of someone showing the true stuff on the ground, where we have so much, you know, just really poor construction and incomplete construction and misery for the people who use that road. And I listening to your poem, that came back to me, the art. You know, if I'm in New York, so like if the only thing I see is that drone depiction, I will think, wow, what a beautiful road going to Castle Bruce. And then this other one comes. So thank you for that. And we look forward to your second piece in the next round. All right, beautiful. We have next up Miss Rosalind McLean. Rosalind, do I don't have the titles for the work that you're going to present, but welcome, Rosalind. It's a pleasure to have you. I know you struggled to get on a little bit, but thank you for persevering. And I appreciate you staying with us until we could get you on. So thank you for that. Welcome.
Thank you, Anthony, for inviting me to this platform. Yes, it was a little struggle, but I got in. Can you hear me clearly?
I can hear you loud and clear, yes.
Okay, yes. Well, I'm sorry I'm a little late, but...
No, you're not late. You're right on time. Everybody
right
is
on
doing
time.
their own piece. Right on time.
Okay, perfect. Yes. Okay, so I will introduce myself. Rosalind Severin McLean, best-selling author of Oceans of Thoughts, Book 1, Book 2, and Book 3. I have 3 books selling on Amazon right now. I will read from Book 3, Oceans of Thoughts, Book 3, which says, orchestrated to motivate and to inspire you life-changing messages, and chronicles of monumental prominence. So I will read from Book 3, Oceans of Thought, Book 3. The title of this first poem is Cream Gold. And Cream Gold will take you into a beautiful written account of thorough bliss, of interpretations of experiences shown to my being in spirit, an understanding of the intuitive, the wisdom, and the application to thought. As I write this inspirational poetry, transporting through 3 petals, I generate that mystical grace to inspire you. Cream Gold. Just as the dance of the perfection of the wintry skies bursts through freedom, the stars and the galaxies dream in effervescence, harmonizing around creation's best. Just as the dance or the perfection of the frigid night pulsates the mysteries of the February moons. Nothing is more breathtaking in its elements throughout the vast expansions than the blissfulness of the dance. As I lay flat on my belly in the 2 o'clock hour of the silvery midnight moon, transcending through a different space, he stood apart from me in that mystical yellow light. He was graced with stature, perfect with cream gold hair, brushed to the right side, figure of light complexion, and skillfully tall. In that meditative space of the 2 o'clock hour, I sensed his presence, observing me from a distance. The ripples of currents transcending through quiet meditation saturated the air in the sleep of the silence. He vomited a substance out of his gut, smooth brown olive oil tea, a process of cleansing and anointing and purpose known to no other. Then, levitating slightly in a puff of wind, he advanced slowly towards my slumber. Cream gold hair fluffed. He floated on the rhythm of the sound of divinity, to fulfill his assignment, and in that puff of purity, he levitated over me. As I lay flat on my belly, with the aroma of incense, he pressed his 10 fingers as though on a piano, penetrating heat currents through 7 mysterious pressure points across the surface of my back in a short and timely transcendental process. And soon thereafter, he vanished. In the dance of the perfection of the wintry skies, glistening in cream gold, embellished in its entirety, time holds no boundaries. The nothingness of time that energizes the psyche of the nature of the infinite design. In the absolute profundity of the silence of the 2 o'clock hour of the silvery midnight moon, he made me cognizant of his element of wisdom, orchestrating, inspiring, understanding, transcendent through the infallible touch. As I lay in the awakened state of that meditative sleep, immersed in thought, consciousness awakened, the melodies of the sound of the greatest Om saturated my being. a preternatural experience choreographed, embedded in the knowing of the mystical dance. A paranormal range echoed, synchronizing songs, stimulating life energies from the core of existence. As I lay awoke from the meditative sleep, immersed in thoughts transcending, just as the dance or the perfection or the magnificent skies burst through freedom. Om to the omniscient I am. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace. Namaste.
Namaste. Wow, mystical, mystical. Thanks for sharing that.
Thank you too.
You know, it takes you to a different plane. Certainly a different plane.
Yes.
You mentioned the word transcendental,
Yes.
and definitely it's of that. So, folks, thank you for that, Rosin. I look forward to what you share with us in round 2.
Okay, thank you too for listening. I appreciate being able to read through book 1, book 3.
From book 3, yes.
TWII Gold. Yes.
Definitely. And your books are available on Amazon. It's a trilogy. So, folks, the poet, and it's on display tonight. The diversity of style, the diversity of thought, the diversity of presentation, and just and all of it is beautiful, because that is what makes us human. That diversity and that difference that we can dovetail into one another and to learn from each other's experiences. So thank you. Up next is one of my good friends, Miss Annette Phillip. I look forward to your presentation, Annette. Thank you for joining us. You're going to do a piece for us that is called "What's the Real Normal?" What's the real normal? I look forward to it. Thank you. This is going to be entertaining.
Is it kind of dark on his screen? What do you think? What's the real normal? Her thoughts are racing. He has nowhere to run. He can't escape it. What is happening? She screams out. The dark clouds are coming, hanging over her. The dark clouds are coming. So gloomy, so sad, an abyss of emptiness and darkness. She reaches the surface of the sunlight, but still feels invisible. She gets mixed up with daylight. Her heartbeat is beating uncontrollably. Anxiety is rushing tenfold. It takes over her whole being. She's a slave to its fear. She wants to die, but death eludes her. She shouts, "Someone so young should not want to die. I have a lot more life to live. Make it stop! Make this madness stop!" Depression, they call it. It makes her go insane. What kind of disease makes one feel so alone? The thoughts of jumping off high buildings portrays through her mind. Hopelessness prevails all through those sleepless nights. Her body aches all over. Is this new cancer? They didn't tell her? When will it eventually consume me and end my wretched life? Those thoughts race through her crazed mind. The doctor tells her she must medicate. The only way to get better, the only way to be whole again. Antidepressants will now be a permanent part of her life. But she knows her brain will be balanced again. She sees hope again, rising high in the sky. visible in the sunshine, so longed for, so craved, like it was her favorite Rocky Road ice cream. She shouts that she is human again, truly alive, no longer screaming that deafening scream, that unreachable scream no one heard. Depression is a serious illness. Like any disease, it can be really scary, but you are never alone. Trust that God got you the way no one else can. He puts people in your path. So reach out. We will all be there. We want to hear your screams so we can draw you out of that darkness that feels like a pit of emptiness. The life you want to live will be normal again. That racing heartbeat will no longer be afraid, for you are never, never alone. Never alone. Thank you.
Oh, wonderful. I love that. And I love the presentation on it. Thank you so much. Wonderful, wonderful
Thank you.
presentation. I thank you for the obvious effort and the preparation and all of that. But most importantly, I thank you for the message, because hopefully you're reaching someone who is in a dark place right now and giving them hope and the courage to reach out and to say,
I
this
do
is what's
suffer
going on.
depression, so I do suffer depression.
Okay.
So this is one of the reasons why I wrote this song, because I have suffered depression since I was a little girl, my whole life practically, and a lot of people don't know. And sometimes I used to suffer alone, and sometimes I had friends and family members. So I not only wrote the poem about depression, I lived depression.
So that takes a lot of courage. Thank you so much.
Thank
I
you.
mean, I see you on social media dancing and celebrating
Yeah.
and all of that. So the last thing that I would think about you, but thank you for being so vulnerable and for sharing, because as I said,
Thank
there's probably someone who's receiving that message, and it might be just what they need.
Thank you.
Another purpose of poetry and spoken word is to console and to encourage and to be compassionate. So look forward to your second piece in the next round, and
Thank
really
you so much.
appreciate this one. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Bye-bye. No, that was beautiful. And another one of my favorite writers, Delroy Nestor Williams. I remember a few years ago, I interviewed Delroy on one of my programs, and he did a piece about a young man and his father, and I was hooked. I'm a huge fan of this young man, Delroy, and oh, the producer is saying that Delroy is not there, so he was supposed to be up next. So we go to the last person on this round, Kalinago Wari. I hope I'm saying it correct. You will tell me how to say it correctly. It's Woryi, Kalinago Wari. How do you say it?
It's Kalinago Woyi.
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 Woyi. That's
Yeah.
just part of, that's a name from, that's a Kalinago name?
Yeah, it's actually the Woyi means woman in Kalinago language. So essentially, my name is just saying I'm a Kalinago woman.
Yeah, a Kalinago woman. Awesome, awesome. I'm very honored that you're here with us tonight, and your name says that you're representing your people. So
Absolutely.
So
The kind of reason I gave myself that writer's name is to project the emphasis on the indigenous people of Dominica, who are like completely forgotten. I'm a multiracial person. I have 3 different races that I know of anyway in my family. And so growing up in Dominica and being of the indigenous people, being of the European people, being of the African people, and understanding fundamentally I am all of Dominica, and respecting that the only part of that being Dominican that was really honored was the African part. Now that sounds crazy in a world where we're facing so much racism. We're dealing with the opposite, right? But in
right.
Dominica is very pro-black. In fact, I grew up as a kid in Dominica during Dread Act and all of that. and hearing white black is beautiful, white is kakapo, and all that big game honky TWII, you know. So all of this was going on in the forefront of me choosing this name, and I just decided the only way I want to deal with that is to respect all aspects. But the part of me that really was disregarded, because you see the light skin is there, so it immediately tells people there's some kind of European ancestry, right? They can see from my mother and my family the African was there, but people couldn't clearly see the Kalinago was there. Just as we were back in the day of my childhood when the Kalinago were totally disrespected and disregarded, and still are to some degree.
Yeah, there's certainly
really,
a group that requires some light to be shone on them, and
right.
with that light, some attention and some
that's
relief, and a lot of relief.
going with the
That
name.
definitely. So I don't have a title for what you're sharing first, but you go ahead and tell me what you're sharing first tonight.
Right, thank you. And I'm very honored because I am actually on this program with many of my Dominican Poetic Circle poets and writers. Absolutely privileged to
Yes,
be sharing the stage with you, especially gives us John, who I know quite personally at this point. So wonderful to hear all the different styles of poetry, like you said. Thank you so much for welcoming me on.
it's definitely my pleasure and my honor. Thank
Okay.
you.
So the first one I'm going to share is As the Birds of the Air. And I actually wrote this morning.
Oh, wow.
Sitting on my porch, looking at the birds and just contemplating and meditating on my life and how things are going. So here goes. The morning comes too early, and I cannot write, nor even fathom the hope of dawn. He comes, lighting upon his perch of porch, seeking what he is accustomed to find. I've not left an offering of grace just yet, the strain of night having me unprepared to feed and provide as God has planned. For the birds of the air gather not in barns, daily seeking their manna. They converge and battle each other, though more often sharing a find, eating gleefully side by side. I give even in lack, understanding their hunger and thirst, their need for a higher being providing. I rise from my weariness, fetching sweet foods we eat together this morn. Sufficient are the woes of today. They shall pass like the morrow ends yesterday. 3 little birds have come sitting. They sing and hum, having neither sowed nor reaped, yet reaping the gift at my hand. They know well the reliance of grace, as do the trees they shelter in, now bowing at this new sun's rising. I rise in unison to sing, humming along as the birds of the air. Thank you.
Ah, awesome. You wrote that this morning, you said. True
Yes.
experience. Yes.
True
And that's what I was saying about the poetry and poets and writers. You know, somebody else would be sitting on their pot drinking coffee, thinking about all the things that they have to do and haven't done, and there you are, just communing with the birds.
Oh yeah, Dominica is a beautiful muse. I mean, just sitting out here looking and taking the time, you'll definitely find those words.
Awesome.
And I
Awesome.
did it over coffee.
And you did it over coffee. Awesome. So thank you, and I look forward to the next round. What you're going to share with us. All right.
Bye-bye.
Okay, cool. So there you have it, folks. This is the first round, and what an experience it has been so far. What an experience it has been so far. All the type, all the genres of poems and poetry. There are different types of poems if you want to be technical about it. But you know, just like how our carnival is described as the most spontaneous carnival, a lot of the poems we have heard tonight seems like they're very organic and spontaneous as well. We are very spontaneous people in Dominica, very, very spontaneous people. And that showed tonight. We have and beautiful tapestry, you know, it's like a mat or something that we weave in together. So this is the end of the first round, and we're going to swing back. You know, we like it so much, we're doing it twice. All the poets are going to do a second piece. We're going to take a quick break. a quick musical break. Otherwise, and when we come back, we are going to be starting back with Miss Keisha Charles. She's going to do for us a piece called Hurricane Maria. So you're listening to TDN's radio Poetry Slam in recognition of World Poetry Day 2023. Thank you for joining us on this special occasion. Thank you to all the guests, all our participants and our performers and our poets for responding to the call. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Sorry. All right, guys, welcome back after the break. Sorry, my mic was muted. Um, I hope you're having as much fun as I am having with this poetry slam that we have to commemorate World Poetry Day, 21st of March. Words are so powerful, and tonight we had such a diverse demonstration of the use of words. We had political, we had faith-based, we had um, mystical, we had compassionate, we had celebration, we had environmental, and all of that. And so we have a second round for you, just as much as the first one. Words, or the words that we use, they create our lives. It literally, it's a creative act, the words that we speak. But I also told you that tomorrow, the 25th of March, is the day of remembrance of victims of slavery and the transatlantic slave trade. The International Day of Remembrance of the Victims of Slavery and the Transatlantic Slave Trade. Since it was designated, the 25th of March was designated as that in 2007. It was first celebrated in 2008, and so it's done every year. It is a day to remember those who suffered and died as a consequence of the transatlantic slave trade. There's so many people who, if we have to really think about it, imagine your child goes out, or your husband goes to work, or your wife goes to work, or your daughter, or anybody of yours, and you just never see them again. So that in Africa was traumatic. So those are the first victims of that. And then those people who were put on this brutal trip, some of them never made it. Some of them chose to jump overboard than to go into the great unknown. They had stuff that it's just fear. Our brain is so wired to be to sense danger when there is any unknown. And so you can imagine how traumatic that was. And then for those who made it to the other side, in this completely different world, they don't speak languages, they're brutalized and all of that. And of course, when they get there, they are the indigenous people, the Kalinago people, the Arak people who are there. And they also victims to that whole commerce and capital system that was just bent on getting profit for free, forcing labor from people for free. And so March 25th is the day when we remember all of those victims, millions of people. I mean, this thing lasted 400 years, more than 400 years. Can you imagine 4 centuries of going to Africa and just reaping people from their families? And then even when you were here, we were brutalized. A mother could have a baby and for whatever reason, the plantation owner could decide that they don't need that baby because another expense, and they just sell that baby away. So not even your child is yours. And so between the 16th and the 19th century, up to 17 million slaves were transported against their will from Africa to the Americas. Up to 2.4 million slaves died during the voyage. Millions more died soon after their arrival in the New World. Most of the people who were enslaved and transported came from Central and West Africa. The first people to engage in transatlantic slave trade were the Portuguese. In 1526, the Portuguese made the first slave voyage across the Atlantic Ocean to Brazil. Other Europeans followed suit. The British, the French, the Dutch, the Danes became major slave trading stations. That's not all we know of the brutal trade of the was that place that they do rubber. Belgium had some of the most brutal slave colonies in Africa. Despite the fact that they were human beings, ship owners treated slaves, not slaves, they enslaved people as cargo. They shipped the slaves as quickly and as cheaply as possible. Upon arrival in the Americas, the agents sold the slaves to work on plantations as well as mines, rice fields, and domestic servants. And that atrocity hasn't been atoned for. Even up to this year, the descendants of the folks who are still benefiting from those atrocities, they refuse to even apologize for it. So we have to make sure that we can represent ourselves, and just really make them. So I found a poem that I think, it's not my poem, it was written by a poet called Frances Ellen Watkins Harper. It is called The Slave Mother. What year was it written? It was written in 1792, I believe, is when it was written. Let me read it. I'm not a poet, but let me just read it real quick. It says, "The slave mother, heard you that shriek? I rose so wide, it rose so widely in the air. It seemed as if a burdened heart was breaking in despair. Saw you, those hands so sadly clasped, the bowed and feeble head, the shuddering of that fragile form, that look of grief and dread. Saw you the sad, imploring eye, its every glance was pain, as if a storm of agony was sweeping through the brain. She is a mother, pale with fear. Her boy clings to her side, and in her kirtle vainly tries his trembling form to hide. He is not hers, although she bore for him a mother's pain. He is not hers, although her blood is coursing through his veins. He is not hers, for cruel hands may rudely tear apart the only reef of household love that binds her breaking heart. His love has been a joyous light that over the pathway smiled, a fountain gushing ever new amid life's desert wild. His lightest word has been a tone of music round the heart, their lives a streamlet blent in one. Oh, Father, must they part? They tear him from her circling arms, her last and fond embrace. Oh, nevermore may her sad eyes gaze on his mournful face. No marvel, then those bitter shrieks disturb the listening ear. She is a mother, and her heart is breaking in despair. So this is a poem that the source of that poem is the American poetry in 19th century, the Library of American. It just talks about the brutalization of our people through slavery, where children were ripped from their families because somebody wanted to sell them for profit. And I wanted to read that because I think that just embodies the heartlessness and the cruelty of slavery. And we, the descendants of those victims, we are still victims of that brutality. And we see racism still exists, and people complain about it, they talk about it, they pretend to care. But if you don't want to be a racist, you just stop. You know, if you don't want to be a racist, spend as much money in black schools as you spend in white schools. It's as easy as that. We talk about it and we pretend like we care, but we don't care. It's a continuation of the brutalization. But black people, African people, Kalinago people, any oppressed group have to care. You have to care, and you have to take up the fight and fight for yourself, because obviously it's not going to come from outside of you. All right, so this was my contribution, and tomorrow, 25th, take a moment of silence and remember those who suffered in the transatlantic slave trade and the slavery that they were subjected to. This is Poetry Slam 2023 TDN Media Network, and we're commemorating World Poetry Day. Up next, the first poet in the second round Trisha Charles, and she's going to do a piece for us called Hurricane Maria.
Hello again. This poem I'm talking on behalf of Dominica as we went through rough times during Hurricane Maria. And it started as Hurricane Maria, and it goes, it was a night of terror. The scene was like horror. As she battered across my body, my people were not quite ready. But she cared about nobody. Together they felt strong, but things continued to go wrong. She stood over me for hours and rampaged everything in her way without thinking about what my people might say. She brought with her lots of rain and caused tremendous pain. The rivers overpowered their banks. My people felt like they had no ranks. The drains began to flood while my people cried to the Lord. Homes were damaged and carried away as my people begged to see a brighter day. She carried along high winds as she installed fear into their minds. She uprooted trees and disturbed the honeybees. She ruined my natural features and scared all living creatures. She caused the sea to rage and created a whole new image. She thought that she was the boss, and flying objects she continued to toss. Her name was Hurricane Maria, and she gave some people diarrhea. She claimed many lives, and many men lost their wives. Feeling satisfied, she decided to move, and slowly the weather began to improve. She left behind so much sorrow, but there was still hope for a brighter tomorrow. Thank you.
This Poetry Slam. We look forward to continued works from you. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Well, folks, next person up is Germania Collier Didier. We are in the second round of the Poetry Slam 2023 in recognition of World Poetry Day. 14 poets. Well, 2 people didn't show, so it's really 12. But we're having a very, very good time. Let's, Germania, are you up next?
Yes, I'm on.
Awesome, awesome.
Okay. Well, I was not aware that tomorrow would be commemorating the slave transatlantic voyage.
Yeah, yeah. You remembrance of the victims of
And so I changed my choice of poem because
really?
I did write a poem entitled Resisting Slavery, Freedom, the Ultimate Dream.
Awesome.
And this poem is in celebration of our heroes like Bala, who did all in his power to stay free, although he was considered a slave. So here goes. Resisting slavery, freedom, the ultimate dream. Why slavery? Why the black skin? For plantations in the New World, survival was key. Forced labor was the answer, and Africa's children it would be. 400 years of the slave trade, what a story to be told. From Africa to the Americas, they carried their human gold. Our ancestors came bound hand and feet as sardines in the hold, then made to stand in squares and markets as products to be sold. How degrading, how inhuman. Why? What did these Europeans think? Why was this necessary? Could they have been hoodwinked? But once sold and settled in, many slaves
We lost audio.
So I was muted all the time.
No, not all the time. No, just the
Okay,
last
just
3 lines or so.
okay. Slaves in colonial Dominica soon realized something. The topography was to their advantage. They began to imagine. Man was made to live in freedom. Resisting slavery became the key. They decided to take the bull by the horn, knowing there would be no justice without equality, no equality without freedom. Resistance came in different packages, depending on the opportunity. Some ran away and became Maroons, called Negmawo in Whitey Kubuli. There was murder of plantation owners. There was burning of homes. Some succeeded in feigning illness. Others operated under the work slow syndrome. For some, resistance meant paying the ultimate price. Like Sojourner Truth and her Underground Railroad, secret networks were organized. Maroons escaped from other islands, and in Dominica, plans were strategized. Rebellions and revolutions became part of the game. In Guadeloupe, Martinique, and Haiti, the planters felt some strain. The Black Caribs in St. Vincent, Maroons in Suriname, Black slaves in Jamaica all stood their ground. Unable to defeat them, the plantation owners had no choice. With some, they agreed to establish treaties to try to have a voice. Negma War in DA country waged a living war. In executing their plans, the planters were often left sore. Men like Jacko, Bala, Juba, Zombie, and Jupiter. Women like Calypso, Rosa, Victorine, Tranquil, and there was more. From camps perched high on mountains, inaccessible to the enemy, they descended on the plantations, knowing the terrain made that easy. They raided, they looted, they plundered. Whole plantations were burned down. They caused havoc to the planters who had done them so much wrong. In Dominica, last island to be colonized, the fight lasted 75 years. It was a fight for freedom, bathed by many tears. DA's Maroons played a pivotal role. Their cry for freedom pierced the hearts of many an English soul. William Wilberforce and Granville Sharp, their heartstrings were tightly tugged. They paused to pay attention. Their insensitivity they unplugged. Their voices they added to the chant of the slaves. The result was positive. The road to freedom was paved. Emancipation rang its bell in 1838. From slavery, no more grief. It had been long in coming, but finally there was relief. Chief Jacko, Chief Bala left a great legacy, though having fought valiantly, paid the ultimate price for resisting slavery. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate you. Thank you for that so much, Jemina. Some you can play the music low, it doesn't matter. I really appreciate you changing your poem at the last minute to pay tribute to our heroes and our ancestors. Thank you for that.
Welcome.
Next up, Ms. Nicole Georges, and she's going to be reading a poem called Monster, which is written by Sam George. Let's hear it from Nicole Georges.
Monster by Sam George. You rise off the coast of South Africa. You embrace the warm waters of the North Atlantic. With an abundance of targets, your eye can pause anywhere. Monster, you're no stranger. Your ugly face we know. You're an angry beast, no emotion, and yet you hate us all. No surprise your power strikes with wind and rain. Brilliant your lightning is. Your thunder rocks our world. Monster, you care not, absolutely. Fear you know not. Your purpose is destruction. We escape not but for divine grace. Monster of many names, we know them all. No controlling you, monster, yet out of control you're not. Your purpose you understand. Once organized, you will become. How do we slay you, mad beast of destruction? Prepare, wait, and hope we must. Unpredictable you are indeed, changing course as if to warn. When you leave us without a kiss, monster, a mighty sigh of relief we breathe. Monster by Sam George and read by Nicole Georges Bennett.
Thank you, Nicole. Although you couldn't be with us live tonight, you recorded your piece, and you read Monster, written by Sam George. Really talking about these hurricanes that have been devastating the islands of the Caribbean ever since time began. The Caribs used to survive it, I think, really well. Maybe we can go back and learn from Carib, I'm sorry, Kalinago people, go back and learn from them. Up next, Miss Huguette Saint-Hilaire. Her contribution in the second round of our Poetry Slam by TDN Media Network. Welcome back, Huguette. You're going to present us with your piece, Morning Chatter. Thank you.
Yes, I would like you to put up the background of the two birds on the.
Okay, Sam will get it up in a minute.
Mm-hmm. In the meantime.
In the meantime.
Being a teacher, the two birds.
The two birds.
On the porch.
Yeah, being a teacher, what?
Being a teacher, a school teacher for many, many years. And most times the children would tell you stories of living things around you that you would catch their attention. Mm-hmm. And you would wonder what they are seeing through this. We often see the birds fly in pairs, male and female. Have we ever thought of what they tell each other? Okay, so here goes my poem. So it's a little morning chatter by two birds, and the title of this poem is From One Soulmate to Another. I'm not seeing the background.
Well, let's go ahead and start. Hopefully Sam will catch up with us.
Okay, okay. From one soulmate to another. So there's bird one and bird two. Mm-hmm. Bird one. Paul, my love, my soulmate, what do you see? The earth, the trees, the sky, you and me. Really, Paul? That's all? Now make me the focus. Make the focus me. Oh, Shelley, I see the mother of my children to be. Really? That's talk of the birds. Darling, give me some substance. Me, I want some substance. Forgive me, Shelley, but I want to always make sense. Then talk about how it feels with me close to you, Paul. Actually, I was just thinking that your size will do. My size really matters? Oh, Paul, please tell me why. The God-sent pair. We are the God-sent, God-chosen pair. And all will look when we fly. Why is that important to you, May I ask? I am thinking of meeting Shelley ahead of the task. You mean I'm expected to be an in house police? Just an in house police? Yes, when I'm not home, no one will notice. I guess then I'll be head of the household. Please just find our tree hole. No, dear, Paul, I, too much pressure. That is too much pressure to give you my role. Paul, I don't wish to say it too loud. You're planning to raid that place you rescued me from? Yes, that pet shop owner sips rum all day long. He's always drunk and confused. He'll mistake you for me, that's for sure. Honey, our bread is well buttered for life. You stay with me and you will see. Ooh, treat, treat, treat. Ha 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 ha. Say it loud. The trees are beckoning. Let's go find our home. Thank you.
That is beautiful. You, you see two birds ponging breath on the porch, and you
Two
imagine what
birds
they
pong
say.
in Beth on the porch. And we intend to publish, Sharon and myself
Mhm.
intend to publish a book soon, and a poetry book soon, and that's one of the poems because we intend to envelop
Well,
all
remember
all
me on TDN. I
it.
have an open mic
Yes,
for
yes,
you. So
for
as soon
sure.
as your book is coming out, we will let you come
Published.
back and all
Okay.
that. Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank
It's
you
for
so
the
much.
children and for the family.
All right.
Thank you.
I very much
Okay.
appreciate you coming on. You're good. Thank you. All right. Next up is Gift Us John, brother. Gift Us John to do his second piece called A Tree Has Fallen. Welcome back, Gift Us.
Yeah, I'm back. But I have a guest reader. Um,
Mm.
I don't know if you had heard this poem read on the airwaves of DBS. So my wife is going to be reading this tribute to Alwyn.
Awesome. You were inspired by your last poem where you had the two birds cozying, so you brought your wife to help you out on this one.
No, that was
Eh?
before. She read this on a program before. So
Well, welcome so
everybody
much.
says to me that she reads better than me. So I guess
There you go. There you go. Welcome. I
Hi,
really
good evening.
appreciate you joining us.
Thank you, thank you.
Awesome. Go ahead.
A Tree Has Fallen, a tribute to Alwyn Bully, written by Gifters John and read by Teresa Sarant John. A tree has fallen in the forest, the sound reverberating over the mountains and along rivers and oceans. The Rami and Cicero take flight from their leafy sanctuaries, seeking safety, gawking and squeaking noisily, looking to shelter as lightning flashes and thunder rumbles, shaking the ground like an earthquake as dark clouds quickly cover the land. A tree has fallen, and the streams and rivers pause for a moment as the Siflamutai coos a mournful tribute, and other birds join, creating their own avian symphony. A tree has fallen, and the land trembles as a flight of birds soar over the land, obscuring the sun, creating their own eclipse, darkening a land seemingly stuck in time, like an old black and white photograph. A giant Gamier has fallen victim to the inevitable. Oh, death, robbing us of a son that this land bore, nurtured, cherished. A giant, not in physique, but in ability, talent, and vision. A great tree whose branches have spread beyond its own dense forest, beyond his homeland. A giant tree, not in size, but character, poise, and talent. The other trees watch, filled with sorrow, as the leaves rustle helplessly in the wind. The Siflamotai and the Ramye coo their mournful tunes, echoing above the mountains, through the valleys, across the Atlantic Ocean and the Caribbean Sea. We shed tears that form rivers of blood, cascading through the jagged landscape, down waterfalls and along the rivers as we mourn the loss of a giant, though one of small physique, one with a voice of reason and assertiveness. Soar with the birds, my brother. Soar on above the clouds, my friend. We will mourn your passing, but celebrate and cherish all you sacrificed unselfishly. Soar on, AB. Rest in peace, Alwyn Bully. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Teresa. Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
And Giftas, thank you for writing it. Definitely, Alwyn Bully will be remembered for a long time in the history of Dominica, hopefully forever.
Absolutely.
He definitely designed the flag that we wave about so proudly, so that helps in his immortality. But so many folks called in and gave so much tribute and said how he influenced and touched their lives. And that is how we immortalize ourselves.
I am one of them.
By making sure that gift us and see it lives on and gift us because of all the gifts that he shares with us. So thank you for that.
Sure.
And thank you to and condolences and thanks to the family of Alwyn Bully for sharing with us so generously.
Yep. Thank you.
All right. Thanks. So that was Giftus John with his poem "A Tree Has Fallen," a tribute to Dominican icon Alwyn Bully. He's not only Dominican icon, he contributed a lot to the cultural development and movement in the Caribbean. Dr. Alwyn Bully passed away last week. All right, so we'll move on. It's Margaret James, and she's going to read for us her second contribution for the night entitled Trapped. Welcome back, Margaret. All right, let's hear Trapped.
Absolutely oppressed by society, trapped in a realm of wealth, yet poor and hungry, trapped in the confines of misery. I see black man trapped in the devious conniving trade of the banana, cocoa, and coffee industry, slaving with knitty, sweaty brows, hard labor from dawn to dusk, wearing stained, patched clothes, digging fig holes or peeling coconut husk, battered, bruised, and torn by the scheming system. I see black man trapped, laboring in vain in sun and rain, wallowing in sorrow day after day, ripped off, cheated of a fair day's pay, while massa is blaming the inflating economy, then disgraces the black race to ethnic catastrophe. I see black men trapped, robbed from their wages and earnings, trapped in paying tax and levy, trapped in the global economy of the devious banking policy, paying interest for eternity on mortgages demanding security. I see black man heart bleeding, hurting, crying, pleading for revenge, for satisfaction, for justice from oppression, for reparation and freedom, yet trapped in a vicious circle, conspired and ruled by power-hungry men who manipulate the system. I see black man trapped, singing Sankey song in the revolution for justice, in the struggle for survival, longing to reach the milestone of their long lost dreams, to embrace the comfort of true emancipation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You know, again, poem in the theme of the remembrance of our ancestors who suffered physically. We still suffer at the hands of discrimination, but the actual brutality and cruelty that they suffered is unimaginable. And to think that they actually experienced it. So thank you for recognizing the plight that we suffer all the time. And you know, you recognize the suffering of the black man. Black women suffered too, but lately in the US, I don't know if it's in Dominica, there's a little movement where black women are starting to say that only black men are recognized as suffering and black women suffering are ignored. And I think that is just one more nail in the coffin of them continuing to try to divide us so they can rule us. So it's very special coming from you, recognizing the you know the plight of our fathers, our grandfathers, our men, you know, going up in the mountains and toiling really, really hard before the sun is up and coming back late at night and doing it the next day and the next day. So thank you for that, Margaret, and thank you for participating tonight. We really appreciate it. Thank you. Next up, Miss Roslyn Severin McLean. Welcome back, Roslyn.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Anthony. Yes, I'm glad to be back to share my work with you and with the audience and everybody else.
Certainly.
Yes, I am going to read again from Oceans of Thoughts, Book 3.
You're going to read from Book 3.
Yes, again, because as it's newer than the other two.
I believe I have Book 1 and 2. I need to get my Book 3. Huh?
Yes, you need to get Book 3. Definitely. Yes. I'm going to read along with the thoughts of what I'm hearing, because it's a pretty big book, and there are quite several different poetries in there. But I'm going to read one called "Voice of the Voiceless." As you spoke earlier on the slavery, and also there was mention of the prejudice and racism, and of course light skin, black skin, dark skin, and all these different things that, as you said, it exists, but people pretend that it's not existent. And you could talk about I being a victim of that too. I can testify to the light skin, dark skin prejudice against me. So I am going to read Voice of the Voiceless, which is one of my newer pieces.
Looking forward.
Yes. As the galaxies spin in all its magnificence, the glorious celestial bodies intelligently orbits on time, sensitizing atmospheric change, metrical through humans. These magnetic frequencies balance scales of the mind, resonating karmic volumes through this universal voice. Hello, I am the voice of the voiceless, with unselfish wisdom, the voice of the voiceless, with spoken love, the voice of the voiceless, with wholesome courage, the voice of the voiceless, with inspired words. Hello, I am the voice of the voiceless, that is of sound character, the voice of the voiceless, that stands to defend, the voice of the voiceless, that is of good principle, the voice of the voiceless, that holds no fear. Hey, I am the voice of the voiceless, who seems terrified. I am the voice of the voiceless, who is offended. I am the voice of the voiceless, who quivers in silence. I am the voice of the voiceless, who endures inward pain. Hey, I am the voice of the voiceless who shadows truth. I am the voice of the voiceless who covers shame. I am the voice of the voiceless who ceased to speak. I am the voice of the voiceless who is not heard. As the galaxies continue to spin in all its grandeur, the competence of its power, exuberate inspirational light, the natural flow of energy burst of cosmic charm, shift the human mind in unimaginable ways. Hey, I am the voice of the voiceless who stands on trust. I am the voice of the voiceless who exalts respect. I am the voice of the voiceless who exhibits chance. I am the voice of the voiceless who stands alone. Hey, I am that voice of the voiceless whose messages get twisted. I am that voice of the voiceless who is misunderstood. I am that voice of the voiceless whose reputation is challenged. I am that voice of the voiceless who is often persecuted. Hello, I am that voice of the voiceless who is sensitive. That voice of the voiceless whose heart is broken. That voice of the voiceless whose opinion matters. That voice of the voiceless whose honesty prevails. Which voice are you? Hey, which voice are you? As the galaxies revolve in unison across the vast space, perfectly in realization, brilliantly in creation, humans wish to encompass the richness in play of cosmic harmony. Humans are unprepared in the birth of atmospheric change. Om, peace. Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. The I am is such a powerful phrase.
It is. It is. I am is the word of God. I am is God. And I am is speaking from the inner self, the God within, challenging the outward. Because what happens, there is so much betrayal in families. Sisters betray sisters for favor or whatever it is. There's so much betrayal. I'm a victim of that. That inspired me to write this piece. The betrayal of family against me. And I am is the word of God.
I am is the connection to God.
I am.
You know, one of my favorite songs from Peter Tosh is I am.
Yes.
I
All
am.
right.
I am.
That's
Oh,
right.
definitely,
That's right.
definitely. I am connects you to a higher being. Thank you so much, Rosalind. I really
Yes. This
appreciate
is
it.
in Oceans of Thoughts, Book 3, available at Amazon.
I remind the audience that your book, your trilogy, Oceans of Thought, very, it says it, thought. It's very thoughtfully written and very inspiring and different. So get your copies. Yes. Are you having fun? I'm having so much fun. This is my world. You know, I'm one of those folks who walk on the street and I see books on the sidewalks and I pick them up and see what the titles are. You see this one right here? I got this. I was doing some work in a NYSHA public housing development in New York City and I saw a pile of books and I picked them up and I got like maybe 4 or 5 of them. And when I look, this one is the complete works of Charles Dickens. I picked it up on the sidewalk a few years ago. So I'm one of those people who, you know, words are never enough. And so, you know, I'm really having a good time tonight. With this poetry slam that we're hosting, TDN Media is hosting a poetry slam. Next up is none other than Gami Moses. Gami, welcome back, man. What is the second piece that you're going to be doing for us tonight? Is Dominica Green. Dominica Green. Welcome back, my brother.
Thank you. Before I start I want to say thank you to Giftus for that tribute to Alvin Bully. You know, I really appreciate that, and that was a really great tribute. And I just want to say respect and big up to Giftus for that tribute. And yeah, I'm one of the persons that I don't go very far without my flag. My flag, everywhere I perform, I take my flag with me. So big up to Alvin Bully, and thanks to him and all he did for our culture. And thank you for Giftus for that contribution.
Indeed, indeed.
I don't get the blues, I only get green. I'm from Dominica. It's a beautiful scene, land of rivers, valleys, and the springs. The nicest boiling lake that you have ever seen. Cause I don't get the blues, I only get green. I'm from Dominica. It's a beautiful scene, land of rivers, valleys, and the springs. The nicest boiling lake that you have ever seen. They said, where you from? Are you Jamaican, man? I said, why? Is it because I am a Rasta man? I said, I'm from Dominica, a place that is so green, if you know what I mean. We have 365 flowing rivers, one for each day of the year. No poisonous animals that you should fear. Birds fly south, wish I could too, to a place that is so green and so true. Cause I don't get the blue, I only get green. Where flowers bloom year round, and you will never see snow on the ground. Cause I don't get the blues, I only get green. I'm from Dominica, it's a beautiful scene, land of rivers, valleys, and the springs, the nicest boiling lake that you have ever seen. Dominica, Dominique, Waitukubuli. Tall is her body, and fruits are plenty. The world's most pristine boiling lake. This 6 hour hike is no piece of cake. But don't worry, beautiful sights you will see, filled with rivers, trees, and valleys. The Whitey Kubuli National Trail, connecting the north, south, east, and the west. Take a little hike and release some stress. Cause I don't get the blues, I only get green. I'm from Dominica. It's a beautiful scene, land of rivers, valleys, and the springs. The nicest boiling lake that you have ever seen. If you hop on a plane and you fly over the land, you have to wonder where all this green is coming from. So many trees, even in the country and in the town. When you get to the tropical rainforest, I guarantee you will say Dominica is the place to be. But I just cannot tell you. You will have to see. Ça ou fait, c'est ça ou ouais. Patrizouzion, épithète chère. Dominica, Dominica, filled with greenery. Please come on down and check out the scenery. Thank you.
I don't get the blues, I get the green. Thank you so much, brother Gami Moses. Thank you for that wonderful presentation, wonderful performance, and thank you for your recognition of the work of Alwyn Woolley. You're listening to our Poetry Slam hosted by TDN Media Network. We have 12 poets who are sharing their talent and their work with us tonight. Up next, all the way in India is Miss Aisha Muskan. Thank you for staying with us. Thank you for joining us. I know it's early morning for you, and we really, really appreciate you coming on and sharing with us, Aisha. Is Aisha on? And maybe Aisha is not on. And who can blame her, right? It's when we started, she said it was at 4 a.m. her time. All right, so let's go to Jules. Jules Pascal. Bon Dieu qu'a mette la main. God is putting a hand. Jules, welcome back. Welcome back.
Right. Thank you, Tony. And like others before me, I want to say thanks to Giftus. I was quite moved by his presentation in recognition of Alwyn and in memory of Alwyn Bully. And I'm saying so because Alwyn is one of those who inspired me to continue writing. And my very first commercial, I should say, Creole poem, De Hazela, was given high rating by Alwyn, and he encouraged me to continue writing. So I am looking for one of those days I will be writing a Creole piece in memory of Alwyn as well.
Okay,
so
awesome.
Thanks, Giftus, for that. This one is called Bon Dieu qu'a mette la main. For those who don't understand the Creole language so well, it is really an exposition or holistic analysis of a hurting country. And it is really illuminating the hurting centers, which are social, spiritual, political, intellectual, emotional, diabolical. And these are the very different centers that contribute. But nevertheless, God is putting a hand in keeping the country alive and well. So, Bon Dieu qu'a mette la main. Depuis 47 l'année, Ophélia chanté Ay Domini, Tchèou ka waché. Jodi jou, chanter là ça, c'est la vérité. Et bien mérité. Pis nous ka tchen ansigwe autant bitin qui mauvais. Mais faut nous remercier Papa bon Dieu. Pis kon tche peya kasenyen, I ka mette la main. Mizi mauvais temps, mizi twaka, Dominique déjà passé. Et puis cyclone David, la vie nous te blessé et puis déchiré. Erika vini après, et puis neye tout ça été vle. Mais Maria Wantwe, il décate tout ça qui te resté en les pieds. Chaque année, que choy ka touché tche pays. Mais nous manche point frère, pendant l'autre ka kouye Fiona. Mais ni yon l'autre cyclone qui a fait tche Dominique enflé. Ça c'est cyclone politique là qui a divisé nous en rouge et puis bleu. Ay Dominique, tche ou ka sayen, mais bon Dieu qu'a mette la main. Dion dide, changement climat, changer tout bitin. Gade manière nous ka penser et puis réagir, les nous nitouin. Nous plus éduqués, mais plus mal levé. Ni toute connexion, mais plus division. Plus l'argent nous ni, plus moun kamade. Plus leçon pour apprendre, moins moun katan et puis comprendre. Nous ni plus magasin, plus chinois, plus haïtien, mais plus gros changement qui pays la besoin, c'est pour nous mettre plus la foi en Dieu, passer un homme et puis bien la terre. Puis c'est bon Dieu qui a plein tout païen, c'est qui a mette la main. Jour en jour, chaque pays a trouvé plus maladie qui plus dangereuse qui tout NCD. Qu'on gros homme, qu'on femme qui a abusé tes enfants, Kon lè nou sav sa ki pa bon, epi nou ka soutiwe. Apre sa, nou ka gade pou dot moun pou blame. Nou ka di, se fote gouvernement, se fote opposition, se fote polis, se fote majestwa, epi avoka, men nou ka soutiwe injustice. Zanfan nou, fami nou, se yo ki ka souffert, le yo pase en voiti ka fiziwe. Avec sel sa nou ka katile, se ki moun ki rouge, epi ki moun ki ble. Pour régler tout bitin, c'est faux, bon Dieu, mettez la main. Bon Dieu déjà béni pays là en abondance. Nous c'est moun résilience. Mais nous qu'a fait comme si nous pas de conscience. Après Maria, gouvernement formé, ça y a crié creed. Mais quand ça pli en pli, nous qu'a tombé malade et puis ça y a crié greed. Nous préférons mentir parce que dit la vérité. On fait là que nous pouvons vivre chanter Aïe Dominique, Tchèou Kawaché, Ross quitte, tant qu'à passer. Et puis, il y a un long appartement Guantan ouest vide. Après ça, nous tous souffert de mauvaise maladie COVID. Mais il plein autant maladie qui a one chez nous fouette. Qu'on l'ait aux petits enfants que nous chahod wana en est disparaître. En même instant, nous ka plewe, puis gas mouté, domlek méchanceté, banane ka gaspillé, mi robis ale quitté, hélas, pas malheureux. En nous pas marcher avec zé nous fermer, mais ouvert zé nous gouan pour voir qui bon Dieu ka mette la main. Nous besoin aider nous. Dominique besoin soulagement. Là nous ka oublier qui nous tous ces frères épicés. Nous ka oublier aussi pays là divisé en paroisse, pas en couleur. Tout ça ka ba pays là en pli mal cher. Là nous ka cultiver yon cultiver si chaque chat nous besoin nous calé pour demander. Ça c'est bêtise. A nous arrêter gâter jeunesse jodi qui vle ni tout bagay. Motoka, la vie si haut, mais yo pas vle travail. Souple, à nous tout point parole bon Dieu, plus sérieux. C'est comme ça nous que vrai bon Dieu qu'a mette la main. Merci.
Thank you. Beautiful, beautiful words. And you speak Creole so fluently.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us, and we really appreciate you taking the time to be with us and to present two beautiful pieces tonight. Thank you, Joseph.
Thanks. It was my pleasure. All
Great.
right.
Awesome. Next up, Miss Annette Phillip. Her poem is entitled Love for a Mother. Annette, welcome back.
Hi. Thank you.
I read a poem about a mother, an enslaved mother, with her child being wrenched from her. Aisha, in her first round, talked about the stigma that's attached to women in her part of the world who are not able to, or for whatever reason, don't have children. And so, yeah, we're looking forward to your version, or your perspective on mother.
Yeah. Mine is a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
Mine is actually, I wrote this poem some years ago, like 5-6 years ago, maybe. But it becomes a tribute right now to my mother. I lost my mother last year, November. It's very hard talking about it.
Condolences to you, Annette.
Thank you. And I'm still grieving. And so this is a tribute to the best mother in the whole world. So this is a tribute to my mama. Love for a mother. To me,
She is as beautiful and sweet as a melodious harp playing on angel strings. She goes the extra mile like any true mother would. Her advice is dead on right. No cliches, innuendos, or I told you so plights. She is truly gentle and warm as a Caribbean summer breeze on a warm twilight night. What would I do without you, mother dear? I can't imagine, but that is something my heart would not bear. You make things so simple, so stress free, and I have to say, you really do care. I need to appreciate you, believe in you, and respect you all the year through. For a mother like you is indeed a unique gem that is truly, truly so rare. You carry yourself with so much flair. You are my queen, my confidant. I love you, oh mother dear. When I was sick, you took care of me like only a mother could. Fed me, clothed me, kept me safe from harm. After God, you are the closest one who embraced me with love. You would risk your life for me, make sacrifices without thinking about the outcome. You are quiet and listen when I talk. Your patience and understanding is unique and spot on. I want to hold you and hug you every day, no matter how old I have become. Mama, I love you to the moon and back. You're my best friend, my confidant. I'm glad God picked you for me. We make such a great team, you and me. Through our ups and downs, we still respected each other. Our mother daughter relationship transcended through our lifetime. I love you like no other. I'm so glad you were my mother. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Annette, and our heart goes out to you. I admire your strength. I admire your courage, and I really, feel honored that you share so much with us.
Yeah.
And I hope you have memories of with your mother that helps you, that will console you in times like these. Um,
I
it's
do.
unavoidable. It's unavoidable that you're going to feel sad at times, but your memories are definitely what's going to take you to where you need to be, so you can, because um, now she's with you all the time because
Yes.
she's now a
I have
spirit.
beautiful memories to live on for the rest of my life. So yeah, I really tried not to cry, but it's
That's
still
okay.
fresh. It's still
That's
fresh.
okay. That's okay. That that
And
that we just
yeah.
thank you for sharing that emotion with us,
Well,
because it's comforting to folks who have lost their loved ones as well. So thank you.
you're welcome. Thank you. Bye.
And I really appreciate you taking time to be with us tonight on the slam, on the poetry slam. I know you do your own poetry slam. I know you do it in the warmer weather in summer. So we look forward to participating as well and supporting that. So thank you, Annette.
Yeah, thank you. I actually have a mixer coming up. Actually, trying to do it for towards the end of April.
Okay.
So I have
Well, let us
people
know and we'll
from
help you
all over.
to
Yeah, I
we'll
have
help you
people from
to
all over the world,
mhm.
and yeah, I will definitely let you guys know about it for sure.
Awesome, and all the best with it. All right. Thank you for that. Folks, you get all of this. This is poetry. Poetry is feelings, it's thoughts, it's all of those emotions mixed in and communicated to us and then we can take it and work it into our own circumstances, our own lives. We can identify with it. We can draw from it positive and negative. Yeah. Some of the folks are saying that they're sending hugs to Annette right now. So here you go, Annette. Lots of love coming your way. Just open up and you're going to feel it. Right. Okay. The next and last presenter that we have on tonight's slam is Kalinago Woye. I hope I'm saying that right. Kalinago Woye. Kalinago lady, Kalinago woman. Welcome back as you present your second piece for us tonight.
Thank you, Anthony. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next one I'm going to present is called The Alchemy of Race. Again, another one that I wrote quite recently. Just generally dealing with, as I began with this discussion of whole, being multiracial here in Dominica, it does bring out a lot of racial discussion in me, because this is where I'm from, this is where I grew up, this is my first experience of how people treat races. And it's quite an interesting experience to do that and go from a Caribbean perspective of the experience of race to a US experience to a UK experience and then back again. So just in thinking about it and also dealing with my own daughter just recently did a DNA, my oldest daughter that is, and did a DNA and discovered that she's 62% white, which is amazing to her because she's always identified as Black. So the stupidity of race has been
Exactly
something that
right.
I have always tried to show my children is just ignorant. It's just a box. It's just something that, we learned as a society to separate one another into that. Yes, there's distinct cultures and you can respect that, and you can respect the uniqueness of people and the beauty and the uniqueness of different types of people, so to speak. But to box yourself in and to create an identity all out of that, given the complexity of race, even within a family, is quite an ordeal. And so having a rainbow family, so to speak, I pretty much deal with that every day. I have to justify myself almost every day in this country as being Dominican, never mind what race I am. So just in meditating on my porch again with my birds and coffee, this is the poem that came out. It's called The Alchemy of Race. Imagining reality, attempting to find a lucidity in this madness of race, tracing desperately branches of trees long felled and extinguished by fires of history and the inevitability of cultural alchemy, mixing and merging bubbling potions of reinventing race into this soup and pot of flavors, rendering our sauce nothing more than a sauce, well seasoned and stewed, yet we attempt to plate and separate, not having appetite for what was created, seeking a recipe that no longer exists, except by the imagination of romanticized past, like when we only think well of the dead, not at their living, reimagining what was, unable to present ourselves the truth, that we are mere hybrids, constructed of the stuff of history, of kith and kin, of nation and our migrancy, of union of being, differing, unique, translated and being transformed into a new race of one, like Dominica.
That's
Thank
it.
you.
Thank
Yes.
you. Short and sweet. Beautiful. And it touches on stuff that we should consider what is important.
Right.
And I think it is a very fitting piece to be the last presentation tonight, because all of this presentation is so diverse.
Right.
And so what you're saying is, don't put yourself in a category for whatever
Right.
purpose and restrict yourself. You can move. If you choose
Right,
to
and
put yourself in a
celebrate the
category.
new creation that we are. Like, we are an amalgamation of so much history and so much diversity. Even within the African race, coming here as enslaved people, we're a diversity of African tribes. There is no way to really trace back exactly what tribe you're from for most people, because we're an amalgamation of different parts of Africa, different tribes of Africa, different kinship groups of Africa. And even that is an intermixture of itself. So just imagine taking that intermixture and then moving it on to a completely different race or a completely different culture and ethnicity and so on. That we just become these hybrids. And the idea of identity has to come from that oneness of who we are in that particular body we're in. And that is how I think it's best for people to try to identify themselves first as this human being with this unique culture, unique history, unique family background. And that's where we're at.
Certainly. Well said. And thank you so much for participating. I look forward to your work and to continue and maybe have you back on, because we do have the different writing groups on every so often. We try to mark all of the international and local happenings in the literary world. So thank you so much for
Absolutely.
coming
I'd be
on.
honored. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Awesome.
Take care.
All right. So listeners, this was all of the presentations that we have. I know that quite a few of you you were giving comments and listening on social media. This is beautiful. The word, the spoken word, is so beautiful, and what we definitely witnessed tonight is that tapestry of how we put our thoughts and share it. Tazi Didier is saying, good evening, everyone. Good evening, Tazi. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. Sophie is giving applause. Sam, if you just put them across the screen, I can read some of them. Ernest Slater says, keep up the good work. Thank you so much for that. Didi, good evening all. Didi is a regular. I hope you enjoyed it as well. It says bravo and cheers. All right. Okay, so we are pretty much at the end. I want to say thank you so much to everyone. Nicole Georgie says hello. Poets, good night, Anthony. Good night, Nicole. We missed your face, but we enjoyed your voice. Thank you so much for going the extra mile and contributing. Frances says, wow, this is awesome. Thank you, Frances. She says you are all amazing. Yes, Francis. All 12 of our presenters were certainly very amazing tonight, and I am just humbled. We have to do this another time, and we'll keep you informed. Annette says that she's having a poetry mixer at the end of April, so I encourage you to join her. Sharon Dorival says, well done, everybody. Sharon, we missed you. Where were you? Next time, we definitely need to have you on. Didi Easter says, imagine Dominica predominantly indigenous Kalinago people. In 1660, the French and English agreed that Dominica and St. Vincent should not be settled, but left to the Kalinago as neutral territory, but its natural resources attracted expedition of English and French foresters who began harvesting timber. In 1690, the French established their first permanent settlement. They brought the first enslaved African from West Africa to Dominica, as they called it to Dominic, as they call it in French. Yes, there's all those histories again because of the struggles and the resistance of our people. They had a hard time colonizing us. All right, so all of you who are participating, thank you so much. Julie Francis is showing power. Hey Jay, what's going on? Good to see you on. We definitely are going to be doing this again. As I said in the beginning, there was the word. In the beginning, there was the word. And this is what we had tonight, a demonstration of the power of the word. Rosalind had a poem that talk about I am. That phrase connects us to the higher power. There were poems on hurricanes, and yesterday was World Meteorological Day. So all of those folks who help us predict the weather and give us a chance to get out of harm's way. Hope you had a good day yesterday. All 14 of our poets, I want to say thank you. And I'm going to go down and read all of your names because you really, really contributed a great deal to us tonight. So Keisha Charles, Germania Collier Didier, Nicole Georges, Huguette Saint-Hilaire, Giftus John, Margaret James, Rosalind Severin McLean, Gami Moses, Aisha Musken, Jules Pascal, Alex Philip, Kalinago Woye. Thank you so much, everybody, for participating in this, our Poetry Slam. And we really like how you came and you shared so generously. And I know you are all busy, so I really appreciate you taking the time to do that. Happy World Poetry Week, I'm going to say, because the day was on Tuesday, but we're doing this on Friday. Thank you to Sam, thank you to Ella, and thank you to everybody else who contributed to making this event the success that it has been. Let us keep writing about what we see. Let us keep writing about what we think. Let us keep writing about what we feel. Let us keep trying to bring ourselves together by sharing our thoughts. And we know art is one of the ways. When Jules Pascal talk about the division of the country into red and blue and all the suffering that comes from that, art is actually one of those things that will definitely help us to overcome that, because in song and in poetry and in all of that, it seeps past those barriers and help to get into our minds. So thank you to our poets and our artists. That's it. Let's take a little bit of music. Gifta says, wonderful job. Thanks for the initiative. Thank you, Giftas, for always responding yes when we ask. We appreciate that. And everybody and all of the other folks who's on there. Let's take a little bit of music as we go off. I believe that we had a really, really wonderful time tonight. I know I did. Thank you for tuning in, to all the audience. On Wednesday, I'll see you back on This Week in Interview.